New revelations today on where the president was and what he was doing during the raid in which Osama Bin Laden was killed by Navy SEALs. The president's former personal assistant revealed details concerning the commander-in-chief's shocking detachment during that day, recounting a day filled with card games.
Sat around in the private dining room, kind of like, most people were like down in the Situation Room, but he was like, I'm not going to be down here. I can't watch this entire thing. So he, myself, Pete Souza, the White House photographer, and Marvin, we must have played 15 games of spades.
15 games of spades. Joining us now, former Congressman Alan West of Florida. Good to see you, Alan, and we appreciate you being here. What is your reaction when you hear the president's so-called former body man say that while our troops were risking their lives to carry out a military objective in the war on terror to kill Osama bin Laden, the president was playing a child's game, 15 games of spades?
Well, Lou, I have to tell you, based upon my 22 years of military experience, when I was a commander in Iraq, if I sent a night patrol out, if it was a patrol that came into contact, I was right there in our command and control center, making sure I monitored the situation so I could make whatever decisions had to be made for allocating them additional resources. If we had, more than a third of our unit that was involved in an operation, I went out with that element to be a part of that mission because I felt that that's where I needed to be with the main effort. So it is kind of hard for me to understand why the commander-in-chief, during one of the most important, one of the most daring raids, across border, zero illumination, going after the #1 Islamic terrorist in the world, if according to Mr. Reggie Love is correct, he would be playing cards and not there ready to make a decision at any point in time during that operation. So,
are you surprised?
Well, yeah, I'm not really surprised.
Are you shocked? Is there an emotional component to this? Because I have to tell you, a president playing spades, at least play bridge for crying out loud. I expect a little more of a commander-in-chief, don't you?
Well, I would, but let's be very honest. The bar has been lowered for President Obama, and pretty much so he can do whatever he pleases, and I think you see that. When you look at what is happening across the Middle East right now, and understand that the president said we will pivot away from the Middle East, and look what is going on in Syria. Al-Qaeda is seriously on the rise between the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant and also the Al-Nusra Front. Look at what's happening in Egypt. And, I would not be, comfortable in myself going and playing golf and being on vacation. I think you need to be here in Washington, D.C., ready to make decisions. And I know some people will say wherever the president is, he can make a decision. But the optics are very bad. And if this story is true that Mr. Love just gave, it should incense the American people, especially those who have loved ones that are over in these combat zones.
The story that is now being reported, and we have taken up the story as well in this broadcast, one of the whistleblowers in Benghazi is now saying that there were 400 U.S. surface-to-air missiles that have gone missing, and that our intelligence agencies, our covert operators, do not know where those 400 missiles are. How much credence do you give to those remarks, those statements by the whistleblower? And do you think that's part of the reason that this administration has been stonewalling for now more than 11 months on Benghazi?
Well, when you look at the indicators and warnings, there's no doubt that there's a cover-up there. First of all, we have to ask ourselves, why was Ambassador Chris Stevens in Benghazi, Libya, which was in the heart of radical Islamic territory, on the 11th anniversary of September 11th, without the requisite amount of security? He was being guarded by Islamist militias, which, of course, as you know, allowed them to be attacked. So, yes, I am concerned if this was part of Muammar Gaddafi's stockpile of weapons that maybe we had collected, or if these were weapons that somehow we were funneling into the rebel forces there in Libya. If you recall, Senator Rand Paul did ask the question of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton about a link between arms being run from out of Libya through Turkey and going into Syria. So there are a lot of unanswered questions when you look at Benghazi, and that's why I think we need to have that select committee. We're not getting to the bottom of this when the investigation is being spread across 5 different congressional committees.
Your best guess as we wrap up here. Will we see comprehensive immigration reform as envisioned by the Senate, that is the Gang of 8 bill, which has been pronounced dead in the House, actually emerge in conference after the, if you will, incremental approach taken by the Republicans? Will we see comprehensive immigration reform, quote unquote, amnesty, result from that conference, and will the American people be gamed once again?
Well, I think that if it does go into a conference, you will see the heavy hand of the Senate and also President Obama trying to push for that comprehensive reform. But we need to learn the lessons from 1986. We need to tangibly show the American people that we're serious about enforcing our laws, that we're serious about securing the border. And Lou, you're an economic expert. You know that this economy is quite artificial. We are not out of this recovery, and the unemployment situation in America is abhorrent. And we cannot, put the American worker second or third in line while we grant this path to citizenship or these work permits to people who have disrespected our laws.
We appreciate it, Alan West. Good to talk with you. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, Lou.